Pleasant good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first webinar for this Agriculture Month activity. And this is done, the first webinar kicks off GRDB activity for Agriculture Month under the theme Transforming Our Food System and Ensuring Food and Nutritional Security. Today's presentation would be done as part of the Caribbean Week of Activity held by ICA and the CARICOM. And it's done by Dr. Mahendra Prasad, who is no stranger to us. He is our lead rice breeder in Guyana and Latin America and the Caribbean. He has many portfolio both at local and at national level. He served as the focal point for the Commission on Genetic Resources for FAO. He also the focal point on the International Treaty of Plant Genetic Resources for FAO and several other significant portfolio he held locally as well. He served as a director for the Guyana School of Agriculture. He contributed as a lecturer to the University of Guyana. He's a very rounded person in terms of his expertise in breeding and genetics. And today we'll hear from him. He will speak particularly on rice breeding in Guyana, the current status and the future prospects. I now hand you over to Dr. Mahendra Prasad, who will take you through his presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rajendra, for a very detailed and wonderful introduction. Today, my task is very simple. I would just like to update you our colleagues around the Guyana, Latin America, and the Caribbean, and even further afield, about some of the work that we have been doing in Guyana in terms of rice breeding. So, just looking at the current status and future prospects, so we can have a good idea what to expect what we have in hand and what to expect in the future as far as rice is concerned and rice breeding per se. And at the end, we'll have a little interaction. So I could have some feedback from you and some guidance too, because it's a learning process for myself and the team the research station and even for the field. I must say before I continue this presentation, this you've seen at the front here, my front page is Dr. Mahendra and team. And the team is a very big one actually in terms of the technical, we go as far as we are very much a partner of FLAR and other institutes. So everyone contributes towards the program. So let me go away into what we'll be discussing in a short way in this. A little introduction and then a look at the breeding objectives or selection criteria in Guyana, achievements. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. We had some technical difficulties here. Hope we are free to go now. As we were saying, more than 40,000 persons benefit from the industry. So it is really significant, Guyana. The rice industry contributes at least 7% to the GDP, and that's overall GDP, and at least 20% to the agriculture GDP in 2020. accounts for about 14% of our total export earning in 2020. Certainly, based on the resources that are available in Guyana and the policy that is in place, we now see Guyana has the potential of rice has the potential of becoming the #1 foreign exchange earner in the next coming years. That is, if we double our production, we definitely can achieve that. Let's look at our production over the years. Since 1990, when we were producing about just around 200,000 tons, we have seen a gradual increase in production, and around 2002, went on to 2010, we were around 500,000 metric tons of rice. In 2015, 2020, we have seen now in 2020, we have certainly surpassed 1 million tons of rough rice. Here we go again, Artie. You ready to go? Sorry about that again. I hope this is the very last time, as we are increasing our production over 1 million tons of rough rice in 2020, and just keep going on. There are two components basically when we improve our production. One, we can either increase our acreage or our productivity. We have seen the graph at the bottom here is basically the acreage of the area of land being cultivated over a period. We haven't seen a very significant quantity of land coming into production. So definitely our increase in production has to come from an increase in productivity. And this is what I'm saying. We see the total production in red and the productivity of paddy in the fields in blue. Yields from 1990, or say yes, around 1990, yields were around 3 to 4 tons per hectare. Coming on to around 2006, it was just still around 4 tons per hectare. We have seen a steep increase in the productivity, coming now around just a touch under 6 tons per hectare. This matches the increase in production level that we are having in the field. It is very clear that our production has been increasing because our productivity are increasing. Our farmers are doing better. We have better technology to support them. So let's analyze, or let's look at one of the major factors to increase our productivity. We would like to look at the breeding program. We have a very comprehensive breeding program. I'm seeing our internet is quite unstable again. Breeding program in Guyana. First, our breeding objectives. The crucial thing for us is to increase our yield potential more than 6 tons per hectare. Secondly, we have thought of improving, incorporate fragrance or aromatic genes into our variety. We also want to develop a salt-tolerant variety, and in very recent time, we have embarked on a program to improve the enhanced nutrition. That is improvement in the level of zinc and iron in our varieties. And we continue with our maintenance breeding program to ensure that whatever we produce, the stock has been maintained and we have sufficient seeds of good quality for the farmers. First, before we go straight into the yield potential of our varieties, I would just like to touch on our select, because we have to select plants that are high yielding, above 6 tons per hectare. As is a serious problem in Guyana and this part of the world. It is almost mandatory now that whatever we release, well, that has been over the past 10 years, whatever we release has to be resistant to blast. Plants or varieties succumb to lodging at maturity. So tolerance to lodging, stiff stems are very crucial for our varieties. The cultivation system in Guyana, we sow on seeded would like to seal it stand water. So we have to get varieties that can emerge well in standing water and overall have good, excellent or seedling vigor. And that will enable them to cooking qualities have to be of very high standards. We have seen climate change. We have seen rains are coming when we least expect them, and when it comes during harvesting. In Guyana, where we have more of our fields don't have the roads are only fair weather, so harvesting has been, and there is, so our varieties now have to be able to tolerate amount of our varieties to tolerate at least 10-15 days delayed harvesting. And delayed harvesting, we would want to think that the variety was able to stand up up without lodging for 10 to 15 days, the opportunity, and also responding to that, we would not like to see that the quality within that, so we'll see an milling yield. Also crucial for our farmers, keen in planting around 100 days of 15 days, and but we are not as a breeder. There's not much latitude in our system to select for more than 120 days variety. But this is something in terms of maturity. If you want to increase yield to a really higher level, we'll have to relook at that in the future. So, in terms of increasing our yield potential, over the years, since 2000, we have released around 13 varieties. These are the varieties that we have released over the past 20 years. So it is just every maybe 2 varieties within a 3-year period. That's the rate of us releasing varieties. And that is quite comparable to some of the better countries. One would like to look at in fact, I would like you to look at the yield potential of the varieties that we have released since, say, in the 90s, 1995. Now, those varieties in 1995, in 90s, the yield potential was between 4 to 5 tons per hectare. During the 90s, we have seen the yield potential of those varieties were around 6, thereabouts. From 2005, 2009 onwards, we have increased the yield potential to around 7 tons per hectare. So those variety released in 2009, 2015, 16, yield potential of around 7, even closer to 8 tons per hectare. And now we have released the last batch of varieties, the last 2 varieties, one in the GRDB 15 and GRDB FL 16. 15 was in 2018 and 16 in 2020, with around 8 to 9 tons per hectare. If we look at over the past 20 years or so, we have managed to increase genetic gains in terms of yield potential by around 4 and 5 tons per hectare. That is quite significant, and we still feel that we can further enhance our yields a bit more. This slide is just showing you the area covered by the various variety in 2021. We have seen the GRDB 15, we have seen just around 15,000 hectare. GRDB 10, the last 10 years or so, this was the leading variety. At one point in time in around 2015, 2015, this variety occupied almost 60% of the acreage. With the increase of GRDB, the release of GRDB 15 and 16, we have seen the acreage of the GRDB 10 reducing. And also, quite interestingly, we have seen an influx of some unknown varieties over a period of time in the recent past, and we have seen within the last couple of seasons how this have declined with the release of GRDB 16. GRDB 16 is important to look at the speed of the rate at which this variety is taking off. It's moving very quick, it's occupying areas very swiftly, and it's because of its yielding ability. It yields between 6 to 9 tons per hectare. Some of the good features of the GRDB 16 that we released, the high yielding potential up to 9.6, and we have seen even up to 10 tons per hectare. It is oily, it is resistant to blast, it just excellent oily vigor, emerge well from standing water, it is tolerant to lodging, it is a more denser grain, it is a heavier in terms of volume, and it has excellent milling and cooking qualities. So these are all very desirable characters that farmers and millers are looking for, and even the household. We have released GRDB 16 in the first season, for the first season cultivation in 2021. In fact, it was released in October 2020 for the sowing the first crop in 2021. The results from those, well, obviously the results in those trials that that caused us to release, when we have checked our performance in the first crop 2021, we have seen a similar trend to those results that we have got during the time of release. We have seen our local varieties GRDB, the Czech GRDB 15 and 10, in which it was compared to, perform excellent also. And the GRDB 16 have just a touch higher in terms of perform better, a little better in terms of the yielding ability. This is a comparison of the 4 farmers that we have worked with during the release, and we have seen also basically around a ton per hectare difference between the Czech and the GRDB 16. And the added in terms of the GRDB 10 has a tendency to lodge, whereas the GRDB 16 does not lodge. The GRDB 15 does not lodge also. That's the lodging. So in terms of increasing our yield potential, we have varieties that we have released in the past that are still farming well in the field, and now we continue to release varieties. We also, in the program, we have around 14 breeding lines in advanced yield testing stage. These are already at 4 locations around in the major areas of the country. We have still studying another close to 96 newer breeding lines in our observational trial. I'll try to just show you how these perform. And currently, as I'm speaking here, we have about 5,000 breeding lines from F3 to F10 in our breeding nursery that we are selecting from for yield and lodging and quality. So we have quite a lot of material on the ground to enhance the program as we go ahead. So just a look at the advanced yield trials, the replicated yield trial that we have at 4 locations. The first crop, we have seen, this is the cumulative average. I did not burden you with too much of details, just to get an average to show you how, in terms of yielding ability, how they are coming. We have some of the, like G4, G18-110 is performing well, and G18-124, their mean average is around 8 ton per hectare, but still you could see for GRDB 15 and 16 also maintain high levels of performance. In terms of the observational trial, we have seen, these are the 96 entry in the first crop. We have seen entries between 8 to even up to closer to 10 tons per hectare. So from this material, we are going to select, move on into our multi-location yield trials. I'm just saying all this to show you that we have material on the ground to enhance the program and also catering for good selection for the farmers in the coming years. So we have been doing in terms of developing varieties with higher yield potential. so badly. And we have the stock to propel us into the next at least 5 years. That's the lodging. So yes, we have from those 5,000 crosses, it came from around 563 crosses, those 5,000 breeding lines, and therefore yield, plant type, grain quality, blast resistance, and the other important traits. We have not as much as I want to see in terms of for increasing yield potential of local varieties and preparing for the next step. We have thought of developing an aromatic variety quite some time ago, and we have been working assiduously to do so. It is quite an uphill task because there are so many difficulties in breeding for aromatic variety itself. We have managed in 2013 to release one line, which is we call variety BRDV 13. And it yields between 5.5 to 7 tons per hectare. And this is quite excellent for aromatic varieties because aromatic varieties are quite medium to low yielding varieties. And tolerance to lodging, we have seen most of the aromatic varieties around the world lodges. Maturity between 120 to 140 days. That has been the little setback in our cultivation system. But most of the aromatic varieties that we have come across with and has been the longer duration. And if we look at what's happening in India and Pakistan and most of those varieties are even beyond 150 days. Chalkiness, we have good milling and cooking qualities. The head rice recovery of aromatics in general are very poor, very poor. We managed the forest varieties around this GRDV 13 yielded around 50% head rice recovery from paddy. But we had a good cooking expansion and good cooking timing and so on. And also the variety performed well in the field because of its extra early vigor and high yielding ability and tolerance to lodging. However, this variety did not pick off very well, particularly due to the maturity period, and it was not well adopted because of this regard. We currently working on a few more lines that have reached advanced breeding stage. It is now in multi-location trial, 8 of those lines at 4 locations. And we have 5 lines in our observational nursery, and the breeding program itself, the nursery, have just a touch over 3,000 progenies or breeding lines from F3 to F10, from which we are selecting from to continue developing aromatic variety. Why we are so interested in aromatic? You see, specialty rice fetch a higher value on the international market. Our local varieties, or the varieties that we trade, we were trading for around 400, 450 US per ton, the best case scenario. If we go to aromatics started to trade from around 700, go up to 1,200 US per ton. I'm thinking, and we are thinking, if we could get even the lowest possible price for aromatic variety, which is 700 US per ton, then we will do our farmers so much justice. They will make a much more better, not only the farmer, the millers, they will be even more competitive. So even at the end, if we don't have the 9 ton or the 8 ton per hectare, and we can have a variety with about 6-7 tons per hectare with good qualities, I think we are on our way to even transform the industry in a different way. Because from 400 US per ton to 600 US per ton, or 700, it's almost 50% increase in price. And if half of that goes to the farmer and half go to the exporter or the miller, then everybody is in a better business. The yield, back straight to these are the aromatic advanced breeding lines that we have in the field. And you see the GRDV10, we have it as a yield check here. And they are not performing so badly. They are around 6 to 7 tons per hectare. So we can achieve that in terms of these are all aromatic, medium to strong scented. They're classified as. So we need a few more season testing here, and then we shall see how identification of candidate go. As I said earlier, developing aromatic variety have so much challenges, and we know that. Well, we know from starting going into aromatic, it's always going to be a difficult choice. Any person have tried and failed, not in this part of the world, in countries that have all the facilities I envy. The genes of say is governing aroma are very, very difficult to transfer and express. And to complicate that, our program is basically conventional, and we select based on visual observation or conventional methods of selection. For aroma, it's not an easy task. Asking for aroma itself without without cracking a known gene or so is very tedious. And as I said earlier, the milling recovery of aromatics in general inherently are very low. And we are looking if we can have 45, 50% head rice recovery, we're still in the hunt. Long duration, that's something that comes with the aroma. I rather suspect these genes are all linked, and it's very, very difficult to break these. But we are having entries with currently around 110, 120 days duration, so that's some improvement. And as I said, low yields are very much associated with aromatic, and we would like to see, are very excited to develop aromatic variety with 6 to 7 tons per hectare. So these are the challenges that the program is facing, and we are trying to make the best of what we have. I must say I'm very optimistic in delivering an aromatic variety in the very near future that can perform and transform our the way we do rice or export rice from Guyana. I'm very hopeful. We have also tried to start a program on developing salt-tolerant varieties, particularly in the background that we have some areas in the northern side of the main access road, and the islands that have lands that are fairly saline, and time again they would have a flush or two from the tidal flooding. So we would like to see if we can develop a variety that are tolerant to salt, but we know the issues of salt, again, similar to aroma. These are low yielders, and currently we have made some crosses. We have around 1,000 progenies, but on the ground, selection for good plant type are very, very difficult. We have seen plants with more spreading plant type would not work well in Guyana, and also fewer grains. And we are currently testing our lines now to see, and I must say, also, we will want to accelerate the work that has been done on salt in the coming seasons. The other area that we are focusing on is now, and we are desirous of developing a variety with higher level of micronutrient such as zinc and iron. And first, to start with, well, we know zinc is one of the most essential micronutrient which is needed for growth and development. Also, it is very clear that zinc is a cofactor for more than 300 enzymes is involved in metabolism of lipids, carbohydrates, proteins, and nucleic acid. So certainly the role in our normal development is very, very clear. We have seen in recent time, we have known historically that zinc is one of the anti-inflammatory and antioxidant micronutrient found in foods. And we have seen so many studies now utilize more of zinc in the fight against COVID. Adult basically requires around 7 to 13 mg zinc per day, milligram per day. Rice, commonly grown varieties around the world show zinc level of less than 12, around 12, 14, or even lower, mostly on a range between 3 to 13, 14 mg per kg. So, but that will require for you have maximum to reach your daily dose, you'll have to eat a whole kg of rice. And we don't, even in Guyana, who we consider eat a lot of rice, we just eat about per capita consumption is around 80 kg per year. So it is way under half kg, just about quarter kg probably per day. So we will have to develop varieties if we go in this way or the way we want to go, maybe around the level of 30 and above, have a significant amount of scope and impact. We have teamed up with our colleagues and we have called ourselves CARICOM Biofortification Network. ICA is actually leading this network on biofortification. And basically it's GRDB, FLAR, with FLAR is a fund for Latin America irrigated rice, CIAT, RD, Harvest Plus, FAHO, Penn State University, Ministry of Food and Agriculture and Immigration from Belize, and more as we go on, more persons are partnering or coming on board. So we are having the kind of support technically so far, and our objective is to develop develop a variety, basically by enhancing its nutritional value for zinc and keeping with our aim to curbing nutritional deficiency in Americas and further afield. We have identified 25 breeding lines with high level of zinc between 18 to 25 mg per kg in 2020, and in the first crop of 2020. In the second crop of 2020, we conducted a preliminary trial with these 25 genotypes, and 17 were selected with between 18 to 25 mg per kg. We have done a first round of replicated yield trials in the first season of 2021, and we are currently conducting a second round of replicated yield trials on the ground, which is to be harvested very soon. I'll just flash the results in terms of the yield that we have, yield and lodging of those 17 entries that we have studied in the first crop 2021, sorry. We have seen entries between 7 to 8 tons per hectare with high level of zinc. We would like to first release at some point in time a variety with maybe closer to 20 mg per kg. The first batch of varieties in terms of scheme of things, maybe around 20, 18, 20 or the mg per kg, and then further breeding work to enhance to a next platform of around 20 to 25, and then so lots of work needed to be done. And even in these multi-location trials, you have seen now we have to identify lines and complete all the requisite tests and even more trials here. So that is as much as I want to say on biofortified rice, and I must thank my colleagues them for supporting for us to be conducting these pieces of work, even under we started without a budget, and we still heading a tough road without seeing the additional funding and so on. So we are looking for funding for this project, that is for sure. I hope I haven't said anything wrong here. The overall challenges of the breeding program in Guyana that I'm facing, we have been conducting all our work using conventional techniques. We have exploited as almost everything already. High cost of labor. It's quite because it's mostly conventional and it's not very modern. With modern tools, it's highly labor intensive. Technology is advancing very fast. We have to keep track of it. High cost of production. We have roughly about 900,000 US per hectare in Guyana. And disease complex is a tough one with blast and bug and so on. On our backs that is destined to decrease our yield, even though we're trying to increase yield and increase quality. We have to keep that at check. Climate change is also right here. We have seen an increase in temperatures. We have seen an increase in the low optimum temperature. And we know how much yield loss we can have, maybe 15% for every degree rise in the low optimum temperature. So that's a problem. And also in Guyana, we have now a young team, skill, limited personnel, technical personnel are there. We are trying to work on that also. So these are generally the overall challenges of the program so far. Future prospect, we continue pushing for high yielding varieties for now around 8 to 9 tons per hectare. Tolerance to delayed harvesting become more and more important in our system, and we have to push for that. Developing aromatic varieties with 6 to 7 tons per hectare, that's a priority now. In the background of all this, we have to look at more durable resistance for blast. Any resistance can break down. This condition here favors blast to develop in an epidemic proportion, and so we have to be very, very careful with this one also. Tolerance to salt, we are now looking at 6 to 7 tons per hectare, salt tolerant. Early duration, our farmers are really pushing hard for 90 to 100 days duration. I think we have to really look at more of a 120 to 130 days duration in order to give me, as a breeder, sufficient time to enough starch for you to get the 8 to 10 tons per hectare. So that's a discussion we will have to get as we move ahead. We're looking for biofortified rice, iron and zinc with our partners. Flood tolerant, you can have a flood tolerant variety with 6 to 7 tons per hectare. I'll be looking for partners to assist me here also. Hybrid rice, I'm looking down the line after maybe the next 5 to 10 years, to have hybrid rice into our production system. That is when we're going to really push for the 8 to 10 or even beyond tons per hectare. Mutation breeding for quality, for improving quality trait, that's something that I have on the program that I really want to do. I'm hoping to start it by next year. Drought tolerance, if we are going to expand rice cultivation beyond the coastal area, we definitely have to look at aerobic rice and to moisture stress. We have seen rice breeding guys confronted with many challenges. Develop a specific genotype that we would require for our ecosystem with strong and disease resistance, good stems, good yielding ability, and excellent milling and cooking quality in an uncompromising way. We cannot compromise in these, and it's very difficult to combine all these traits and still keep track of high yields. Transferring salinity and salt tolerance have posed so much problems, but we still feel it's an uphill task, and it's always going to be an uphill task. But we feel that we can have a bit of success here. In every program now, any research, financial and technical personnel are limiting. You never have an ideal situation. In spite of that, our breeding program and research as general has achieved a major milestone. And in the future, we have seen we have material in the ground that could take us for the next, at least in the next 5-10 years. But beyond the next 5-10 years, that's where my work starts now. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahendra Prasad, for such a excellent, detailed, and informative presentation on rice breeding in Guyana, its current status, and what the futures, what lies ahead in the future for us. I know you spoke in length and breadth on high yielding and blast resistant varieties, where we are with those. You also spoke on aromatic, salt tolerant, biofortify, and some of the more exciting stuff for the future. We are all excited. I'm sure the industry would definitely move forward once we keep going with our program. I will now open the floor for questioning. If anyone has a comment or a question to ask as it relates to Dr. Mahendra's presentation only at this point, and kindly show by a raise of hand, and we'll take your question and hand it to Dr. Mahendra, and we'll go from there. So now the floor is open for questions. Thank you. Question, comments. You can also use the chat option and type your question as well. We'll be more happy to answer, try our best to answer. If there is no question, I'm sure Doc was very clear. His presentation was well received. If there's any comments anyone would like to make at this point, is also welcome. You show by raising your hands or through the chat again. There's a comment from Mr. Jerry. Mahendra, very good presentation. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Mr. Jerry, for that comment. I think Jerry is also a colic plant breeder um, from Suriname. Yeah. Any question, clarification? Who said? There's a comment from Monica regarding training of technical personnel. I think Doc can probably give a comment in regards to where we are in terms of capacity building and training. Put on your camera.
Oh, thank you very much, Christian. Limited personnel, technical personnel, yeah. This has been not only in what I've seen in rice breeding alone. We have limited personnel skills in breeding itself in Guyana for all the crops. But for rice, also, if you look at any other program in any part of the world, maybe you'll have one breeder or a person who is adequately trained for maybe one or two objectives the most. And if you see the number of things that we are trying to maneuver with at the same time in terms of yield, we're talking about blast resistance, we're talking about salt, aroma, and the things more that we want to do in the future. We definitely have to get some more person trained in this year. That is for sure. So I agree with you there. Yes. And this is something that is needed not only for, in my view, rice, as I say, it is for Guyana in general. We have to look to get maybe 4 or 5 breeders more at the highest possible level.
While we are await any further questions or comments, I'd just like to mention the presentation would be available on the GRDB Facebook page, YouTube channel, as well as our GRDB website. Also, it will be available on the CWA website. So if you missed anything, you can get the presentation and have a more detailed look at the content. We're still awaiting your questions or comments for Dr. Mahendra.
Just before the last question come, or if it doesn't come, I just would like to thank all those who have supported our program and all of those who have been part of our breeding program. I very much appreciate your contribution. I've seen Dr. Liz and others on finding in. Special thanks to all, and looking forward to the collaboration, moving the next steps ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. Again, just as a reminder, this presentation would be available online on YouTube, Facebook, and GRDB website, along with CWA, before the end of today. And also, this is only our first activity for that kicks off GRDB Agriculture Month activity. So kindly follow us on our Facebook page and so on for more updates as we progress into this Agriculture Month. Thank you very much.